With the Perp DEX meta heating up, new competitors are entering the space, so which ones should we be paying attention to? Plus, Cathie Woods believes this one protocol could see explosive growth like Solana did last cycle. This is your Altcoin Buzz news. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, altcoinbuzz.io, and as always, not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Also, make sure to join us for X Spaces, Tuesday to Friday at 9 a.m. EST, link down below. All right, good morning, you guys. Happy Monday. Before we get into Bitcoin's price action, I wanted to read a couple of these things real quick. First, we have a big week for crypto holders. Today, on September 29th, we have 5 Fed officials will be speaking. Tomorrow, on the 30th, we have FTX to distribute $1.6 billion to its creditors. And we also have the JOLTS job openings data, which will be released. On the 1st of October, we have ISM manufacturing data, which will be released. And on the 2nd of October, the initial and continuous jobless claims data will be released. And on the 3rd of October, U.S. unemployment rate data will also be released. We also have Not Telling with a post on a cycle theory saying Bitcoin hits a cycle top every 4 years, with the cycle top hitting a certain amount of time post-halving. For cycle 1, it was 366 days from peak to halving. For cycle 2, it was 526 days from peak to halving. For cycle 3, which is the last one, 548 days to peak from halving. And cycle 4, which we're going on right now, we're currently at 524 days, but the trend is showing a longer cycle from halving to peak. Cycle number 3 took 22 days longer than cycle number 2, implying cycle number 4 will take at least 22 days longer than cycle number 3, which will be a total of 570 days from halving to cycle peak, which puts us at 11/11, which is November 11th this year, for Bitcoin's peak, even though it could easily be more than 22 days because it's a longer cycle to cycle, but using 22 days to be conservative. This is also consistent with past cycles, which all peaked in November, December. What's also interesting is the final big move happened each cycle right after Bitcoin came back to the 200-day EMA line. This dip in Bitcoin is slightly still above the 200-day EMA line, but it's following exactly what happened in every cycle beforehand. Every cycle, Bitcoin dipped to the 200-day EMA line around August, September before a massive Q4. Right now, that 200-day EMA is between $106,000 and $107,000, and I'll go long on alts on every dip up to $106K if the market gives us that gift. So that's what I wanted to read before we get to this. Right now, you can see here we have the 200-day EMA, which is right around $106,200-ish currently right now. This is the line what he is talking about, where usually we come back and we dip down to here and then we continue to new all-time highs in Q4 in previous cycles. And that is kind of lining up with what I think the TA is going to show us. So over the weekend, we had a little bit of a bounce. Actually, let me get rid of these. Lines real quick. Over the weekend, we had a bit of a bounce, and we came back up into this area, which is the point of breakdown that we broke down from. So it's now acting as a level of resistance instead of support. So we broke down here, and it looks like an underside retest. If we're going to continue higher, which is actually not preferable to me, if we're going to break back above, we need to reclaim this level around 113,500. We need to come back and reclaim this level to continue higher. But I would actually prefer the other scenario where we actually break down first, because I think if we come back up here, we're going to, chop up higher, and then eventually we're going to come back down. So I'd prefer if we just took these out right now and came back down to this daily 200 EMA. So what that looks like is a lot of stops being taken out around $107,000. There's a lot of liquidity down here. And I also like us to come down, take out, bounce at the 200 EMA, but also lines up pretty well with these other stops down here around 105,000. So I'd like to see us come up, reject here early this week, come down to something like this, and then come down and reclaim this level around $107,000. That would be the preferred method if we're going to continue higher. Obviously, these things don't always play out exactly like we want, but that is the preferred, way I'd like to see this play out over the coming week. So we could just take out these stops, kind of like rip the Band-Aid off and be done with it and get this over with and then continue higher. And now it doesn't always happen exactly like we would like. But, it would line up with his cycle theory, as he was just talking about as well, where the 200-day EMA is around $106,000. So that's what I'm looking for today. I'm looking for a rejection somewhere around here today at New York Open in this $113,000 to $112,000 range. Looking for rejection here back down to these levels. Take out all these stops, long some alts, long some Bitcoin, or just buy them spot if you'd like. I think this is probably a pretty good area to go risk on here for this next potential move up into Q4 starting now and going into bullish, typically October, which also leads into here. It's also October, and so typically when we have a green September, we usually have a very bullish next couple of months as well. And so you can see that in 2024, 2023, as well as back down here in 2017, 2016, and even 2015. Usually Q4 is one of the bullish. So, and we also just got this literally right now where Jim Cramer says to buy Bitcoin. So that should hopefully push us down here towards this $106,000 level now that he just tweeted that. So that's what we're looking for right now. Then moving on, we have publicly traded Bitmine Immersion buys 233,000 Ethereum worth $935.1 million over the past few days. We also have Binance is buying millions of dollars. And also the Strategic ETH Reserve now holds 5.26 million ETH worth over $21 billion. And they're only buying more. Then we also have President Trump's ETH exposure rises to 99%. He knows we hit $6,000 soon. Now, I don't know if he specifically knows we're hitting $6,000 soon, but it is funny. Worldwide Financial is holding 99% Ethereum valued at $10.17 billion on their platform. Now, ETH actually looks decent to me. We took out all these stops here, but I think obviously it's going to follow Bitcoin. So if we break down, we're most likely going to, break down on Ethereum as well. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we came down even farther down towards maybe the mid 3,000, maybe 37-ish, if Bitcoin wants to go down towards $106,000. But likewise, if we're not going to do that, if we're going to continue higher, this is kind of the area where we want to hold up around. This is the previous all-time high or previous highs from this past cycle. So this is the area where we kind of want to consolidate and continue higher. A lot of times we will fill this gap. So there is a lot of inefficiency right here. So if Bitcoin does want to go higher, I think ETH will, go higher much quicker, back up towards at least this level of resistance here around 45-ish hundred. So there's a big inefficiency here. So ETH will be the one to long if we were to go higher. But it's also, I think, the least probable scenario. I don't think we continue higher. I think we can actually go lower first. So that's the thing right now. It would be the one to long if we were to have some good news or a good catalyst come out and we go higher and Bitcoin wants to continue and break above that 113.5 level. And then moving on, we have Cathie Woods talking about the coin that she thinks could be like Solana of last cycle.
Hyperliquid is the new kid on the block. And we're waiting to see how that all plays out. It's exciting. It reminds me of Solana in the earlier days, and Solana has proven its worth and is, there with the big boys.
So Cathie Woods says Hyperliquid is the next Solana. Woods compared Hype's growth to Solana's early rise, but warned competition is heating up as Aster enters the market. We also have a couple other perp dexes entering the market as well. Now, Hyperliquid, I do believe, is one of the strongest, one of the best actual platforms, but it is starting to see a lot more competition. Now, these other ones are newer, so they do have, a lot of new attention, which is being taken away from Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid, I still believe, is the best overall platform, but it is very possible a lot of these start to implement new upgrades and start to really compete with Hyperliquid over the coming years, because it is a space that, is making the most amount of money. And so all these other exchanges aren't just going to let Hyperliquid take all their money and just, fade off into existence. So Hyperliquid still looks great, but there are other competitors now as well. And so we also have Tracer saying this whale just bought $40.2 million of Aster. He knows something. We also have Not Telling saying Aster just flipped Tether in 24-hour fees. Am I crazy, or is Aster super undervalued? I see the bull case, 4x lower market cap than Hype, number one in 24-hour fees, and sees he can't work on Binance anymore, so he's working on Aster. So you can see here $22.88 million in 24-hour fees, beating Tether at 22.221. Now, I don't believe that's all real trading. It's probably a lot of wash trading to get a lot of volume and get Aster at top of mind. And so I don't think this is all, real revenue, but it's more of a talking point to get people posting this like we are right now, talking about this 24-hour volume that they're doing. And so smart on their part. I do think Aster is going to continue to see more mind share over the coming weeks. I think we're going to continue higher. But there are some other ones coming out. And so we have Apex here, which Wise Advice says we shared at 65 cents, now trading above $2. And so they say, what is Apex? Apex is a decentralized derivatives DEX where you can trade perpetual swaps with leverage directly on chain. Think of it as DeFi version of Bybit futures, but without the middleman. So Apex is now Bybit's Perp DEX, which just kind of blew up over the weekend. So we have a Bybit connection. Bybit itself integrated Apex Pro into its platform. That means you can access Apex's DEX features directly from Bybit. No new wallet or onboarding pain, which is rare. Perpetual swaps dominate centralized exchange trading, and we're talking tens of billions in volume every single day. If a DEX captures even 1% of that flow, it's huge. Bybit and Apex are trying to do the same. For the token utility, Apex is a governance over the protocol. It has trading fee discounts, incentives for liquidity providers, and staking rewards with new Apex staking 4.5. This gives Apex direct value inside the ecosystem. Now, why is it pumping? A staking upgrade. Rewards now paid in Apex USDT LP tokens, reducing selling pressure and boosting liquidity. Less supply hitting the market means of stronger price action. And Bybit's Apex Pro integration also adds credibility and exposure. And when volume spikes, momentum traders rush in. With the DEX narrative heating up, capital is rotating from majors into alts. And because Apex is a smaller cap, even modest inflows drive explosive pumps. Now, Apex isn't just another alt pump, it's a Bybit-backed experiment in blending centralized exchange scale with DEX transparency. If they pull it off, Apex could become a gateway for billions in perp volume, moving on-chain and a competitor to Hype and Aster. And we also have Apex coin will rise to $4 in the near future due to a $12 million buyback and 151% potential upside. Apex Protocol announced a $12 million buyback using long and daily revenue. The resulting tokens are locked on chain, so supply becomes scarcer. Initially, 50% of the income is used, increasing to 90% in the future. Everything is transparent and on the blockchain. And we also have Miser saying Apex is still crazy undervalued, $280 million market cap with confirmed buybacks. I think it has a lot of room for higher. As previously stated today, one of 3 predictions for Apex has already been confirmed by them: an airdrop and farming system, full operational integration on Bybit, and buybacks are confirmed. Still expecting the remaining 2 to be fully confirmed, or any other big news will send the token way higher. $3 should be coming pretty soon. And one thing that's interesting about Aster as well is that they haven't confirmed any buybacks yet, while all the other perp dexes pretty much have at this point. So Hyperliquid's doing it, Apex is doing it. And so I think Aster will also continue to rise on that, but let's go over some of these perp dexes for TA real quick. Hyperliquid is pretty much played out to a T. So we talk about how, there's a lot of stops below this level and this level. It came out, took these stops out perfectly, rebounded. Now it's testing the underside of this line right here, which is this level of resistance. And I believe we probably will continue lower unless Bitcoin wants to just magically continue higher. But I think, like I said, Bitcoin I think is going to go lower. I think most likely we'll probably take out some of these stops again, maybe down towards $35. But I don't expect this to be, the area where we just continue to new all-time highs unless they come out and start, burning a lot more tokens and buying back a lot more tokens. I think this is a level of resistance here around $48-ish, which we've come up to perfectly right now. And so we took out all these stops, we bounced, we're now doing an underside retest, and I think we will continue a little bit lower for Hyperliquid over the coming days, especially with a lot of competition. Then moving on to Aster, if we go to a lower time frame chart, Aster is pretty much in this level of accumulation right now. And so I don't think it looks terrible, but I don't think it looks, the best at this point. I think they're kind of losing to competition right now with, lower market caps like Apex and some of these other ones. And so I think they're kind of just in this area of consolidation. I think they're doing a lot of, they're trying to stay top of mind with the total fees surpassing Tether. But I think at some point, they're going to have to do the Binance spot listing and then maybe even Coinbase listing. But I think at some point they're also going to have to announce buybacks, and they're going to have to stay competitive with all the others that are trying to come out and beat them, like Hyperliquid and Apex as well. And so I think what will happen most likely is it'll form this level of basing somewhere between $1.65 and where we are currently. I think we'll just kind of go sideways right now. We'll form this base, as I always talk about, this up move, and then it comes like this, and then we go sideways, and then we break out again. I think that's going to happen for Aster over the coming, couple weeks as we kind of consolidate into the end of the airdrop. So we have this airdrop ending, the farming phase for, farming this airdrop ends on October 5th. I believe the airdrop is then on October 17th, as well as the token unlocks for the team. I believe they'll probably pump the price into the token unlocks so that the, token unlock holders can get higher prices for their tokens that are being unlocked. So I think that's a possibility. How high it goes, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's a double top around $2.35-ish. Maybe come back up here. But I do think we end up going higher overall at some point once everyone is done selling. And so why do we tend to go sideways like this for a while? It's because a lot of people are distributing. A lot of people who are in early, who got up here and they're like, okay, this is now a downtrend and they're going to get out here. And then there's a lot of people who were in it before who also want to get in. And so this forms a level of support where early people are getting out and they're selling their coins. People who miss it are getting in right here. And it's forming a level of support around this area, and we're forming a new base. And so the higher we form this base, which is around $1.75-ish, the higher we form this base and the longer we form this base, I think the higher we go on the next leg up, which is ultimately good for Aster. Then moving on, we also have Apex, which is sitting at around $2.30-ish. And now I will say it's only spot right now. And so they don't have the perps out. But it's very wiki, and it's very, it's a lower market cap. So it has, these bigger moves than the other ones right now. And so it's sitting around $280 million. I don't love this double top right now. I don't love these multiple tops, but I will say it doesn't mean that it can't continue to go higher. A lot of times on lower market caps, the TA is a little bit more sporadic. And so this looks like a, lower high to me, and it doesn't look ideal. And it looks like it would continue down. But we also have buybacks. They can also just come out with one piece of news and completely change this, TA structure in the next day or so. So I don't like TA on things like Apex as much right now, especially with how, one of the biggest exchanges, Bybit, can just come out and say something. But I will say, most likely, I think we come back down here at least to $1.94, and maybe we bounce from there. But I think if Bitcoin wants to continue lower, the whole market kind of sells off a little bit more. I think it is possible we take out these tops down towards 150-ish, 140, and then we probably form a base here. And I'd like to see a base wherever this base forms. That's where I'll be looking to enter on Apex. But I think Apex, I think there's gonna be multiple winners, and it's gonna be like, which one do you want to choose? I also saw this post that came out earlier where it was talking about how back in the last cycle, Binance came out with PancakeSwap after Uniswap's huge success. So Uniswap had huge success. Then Binance came out and did PancakeSwap. It exploded a lot of coins in that ecosystem. Then went up a lot as well. It basically took away the uniqueness of Uniswap. I think that's what Binance is doing as well. And so Hyperliquid right now was the main perp dex, the one that everyone was trading on. And so as soon as Binance then created their own Aster, or it kind of it ties into Binance. As soon as Binance has their own perp dex, which is Aster, it takes away the uniqueness of Hyperliquid. And then we also have now other competitors doing it as well, like Apex. And so it takes away the fact that, Hyperliquid is the only perp dex out there. And so it takes away some of that market share. And I think that's what Binance has done again right now with Aster. And so I think it's going to be, less about, is Hyperliquid the only one to trade on, or is it going to be, whatever one is better integrated with your exchange that you prefer to use, or whatever it may be. So I think they're doing that again right now, where it's like, now if you want to go trade on if you're going to go swap coins on a DEX, maybe you think Uniswap, but maybe you also think a different, decentralized exchange that you'd want to trade coins on. I think that's happening again right now. So I think Hyperliquid, while it is one of the better contenders and it has the best product in my eyes, I do think, some of that attention is being taken away and, incentivized to go other places right now. And then moving on, we have Bell's Tosh, who says the perpdex meta is heating up like never before, fueled by the explosive growth of Aster and Apex. One project with a massive potential for 10x is Bluefin. It's the number one dex on Suis. It was just personally shared by the co-founder of Suis on their feed. Bluefin isn't just a perp dex platform, it's a native DeFi hub with a full suite of services, including spot swaps, perps, lending, and vaults. As the top native dex on Suis, with a market cap under $40 million, and with a high chance of Binance spot listing soon, there's a huge pump catalyst in the making for Blue. Additionally, Bluefin will be using its revenue to buy back Blue tokens starting on October 1st, 2025. So you can see here, even with Suis, they're starting to do buybacks as well. And so all these perp dexes are doing a lot of these buybacks to incentivize token growth. Now we also have who will be the next leading dex on Suis. After the $223 million Cetus exploit, the once dominant dex on Suis has seen sharp declines in TVL, trading volume, and active users, opening the door for new contenders. Among the emerging players are Bluefin, which looks like the strongest candidate. TVL is $204 million versus Cetus's $88 million. Annual revenue is $13.2 million versus Cetus $4.8 million. And ecosystem expansion, Spots, Perp, and Alpha Land are already live. In short, Bluefin generates 3 times more revenue, but is valued at less than half of Cetus, signaling a massive undervaluation if it continues to grow and dominates on Suis. We also have Bluefin saying Bluefin has surpassed $78 billion in all-time trading volume. Alongside this milestone, we're excited to share that total deposits now exceed 220 million, and the number of unique wallets interacting with Bluefin has grown to over 2.2 million. We also have Mark saying Blue's cumulative DEX volume just hit $23 billion. And so we can see here Bluefin now sitting around 13, almost 14 cents at a $42 million market cap. This is another potential catch-up play as well. So over the weekend, we had Apex, which was sitting, I believe, really low as well, somewhere around $60 million. And then it surged to around $280 million. I think Bluefin is a possibility, especially if it gets a spot listing as well. So now we have a Suis DEX, we have Bybit, we have Binance. And so this perp DEX meta is heating up, and there's different plays to be had. But I'm actually very happy that we have this new meta. It's not just a meme coin meta. It's not just what, meme coin can you rotate into. It's which huge decentralized exchange with different utilities is going to be the new meta. And so I like this meta going on right now. So we have Bluefin, Apex, Aster, and Hyperliquid. That's the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.